So then Wolves are back in action this weekend. We're facing off against West Ham United, a team who could almost clash as a relegation rival at the moment. It's never nice to talk about Wolves in relegation, but obviously at the moment that's where we are, and we're hoping that Lopetegui can continue his improvement in this Wolves team and we can climb the table. It's a match where a win is doable for Wolves. I think West Ham's form is obviously all over the place right now, and David Moyes potentially on the brink of getting the sack. We'll talk about that a little bit more today, and of course we'll have the West Ham perspective afterwards as well. But yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks of Wolves. A number of games already in January, and obviously a number to go as well. In the last week or so, of course, we've had a few midweek games, and of course now we've got the game on Saturday. So it was Villa away last Wednesday, of course, a controversial game against Liverpool on Saturday, and then last night we faced off against Nottingham Forest. Unfortunately, losing out in the cup. Lopetegui had a chance to rotate, see a number more of players. Of course, he did the sort of immediate reaction for the Forest game last night, but what disappointed me was in that game was the slow start, and I don't think Wolves can get away with that on Saturday against West Ham United. Lopetegui, for some reason, tried out a back five. I really thought he should have swapped away from that a lot earlier than he did, But yeah, really slow start. But I think we grew into the game, and on the balance of the game, we were probably the better side overall. And of course, it went down to the lottery, the penalty shootout. But Wolves had look fresher, look fitter. And I'm hoping that, I'll be intrigued to see how Lopetegui lines up and how strong the team could be. Matheus Cunha, we've seen a lot more of him. Could he finally get his first start for Wolves, possibly on Saturday? He's looking sharp, looking creative. And a lot of players have stepped up. Hwang, we've seen come in, grab that goal against Liverpool. Nunes is really starting to show the player that we thought we were getting in the summer. It's taken him a while. Played out of position by Bruno Lage and Steve Davis, but really looking to be that sort of player again. And the back four, Totti's had his chance over the last couple of games. Had very unfortunately that goal disallowed. I think Lopetegui will probably revert back to Kilman and Collins once again, but it's good that these players have been given the minutes to show what they can do for Wolves, and like I said, he is hoping for a win. Of course, the reverse fixture at the London Stadium, West Ham beat us quite comfortably. It was a really poor performance by Wolves, and of course it got Bruno Lage the sack in that game. But yeah, a really big game for Wolves, because I think if we can win it, we have got some more difficult fixtures coming up before the end of the month. And, of course, then we've got the replay as well next week against the Liverpool. So we'll have 3 midweek games in a row there. I'm going to look at the lineup now. Now, this has tended to confuse people over the last few weeks. So this is the lineup. I've sort of balanced it over the last few weeks of a lineup that I want to see and what I think Lopetegui will go for. But now this is just what I want to see. So I've gone with Jose Sarr in goal. I've gone with Hugo Bueno at the back with Kilman, Collins and Semedo. I've gone with a midfield two of Neves and Nunes. I just think both of those together in a sort of this formation would work really well. Left hand side, I have gone with Ryan Nouri. Really like the look of him on the left. I've gone with Pedence on the right, alongside Cunha and Jimenez. I'm trying to think, rough. I think Adama could certainly play in there as well. Guedes has had his opportunity. I thought he did quite well at Anfield, but I'll go with Cunha. I think he could swap quite well with Pedence, both of those interchanging. It would be really, really interesting. He could easily play Hwang on the right with Pedence through the middle behind Cunha. There's a lot of options there. I think attacking-wise, we've got a lot of depth there at the moment. We could well see, of course, a couple of new players possibly be in by then. I don't think they'll be in the squad. Mario Lemina sounds pretty close right now at the time of recording. Possibly Pablo Sarabia from PSG as well. And Wolves have obviously been linked with 2 West Ham players, Mikel Antonio and Craig Dawson. It'll be interesting to see if talks accelerate after the game on Saturday, as it has happened before with Wolves, where that has been the case. But obviously, let's wait and see on that one. But let's move on to the opposition perspective now, guys. I had the pleasure of speaking to Charlie from Hammer's Chat to get his thoughts on West Ham so far this season and what we can expect from David Moyes' side this Saturday. So then, guys, I am delighted to be alongside Charlie from Hammer's Chat. We're going to get the West Ham perspective ahead of this weekend's game. Charlie, thank you very much for joining me. How are you keeping?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. It's finally getting ever so slightly warmer, and by slightly warmer, I mean, like 4 degrees instead of -4. So I'm all right. I'm not bad. Thank you for having me.
No. Thank you for coming on. It's going to be an interesting game. Obviously, West Ham and Wolves fans were probably not expecting to be in the positions they are in at the moment at the start of the season. But what's your thoughts so far this season? Key moments for West Ham. Where have games been won and lost for you? What's the overall atmosphere like for you guys at the moment?
Bad.
Yeah.
It's negative. I mean, it's one of those things where, a bit like yourselves, it all sort of has gone a bit Pete Tong and no one's really scoring and everything just sort of seems to be going wrong all of the time. I mean, if you look at individuals like, I don't know, Declan Rice, for example, who's been our best player for years, even he has had quite a rough season. And when that's happening, you're sort of in a bad situation. We aren't We've tried to sort of evolve past what we were. I think if you were being kind, you would call us a very David Moyes team the last couple of years. And we've sort of tried to get a bit fancy this summer. We signed Skamaka, we signed Paquetá. We really tried to play a little bit more possession-based football, and we've not really gone fully in that direction. And then we've stepped a little bit away from the defensive first barrage of crosses that we were doing previously, and it's neither thing has just worked. We've got the worst of both worlds and the none of the benefits. And what you see there is, a bit like yourselves, a team who really struggled to score and flat had to deceive almost every game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and we've done a preview over on the Hammers Chat page as well, and we spoke a little bit about this. But David Moyes right now, of course, being I think I said it on your preview. One of the most experienced managers in the league right now, but it's and he's done really well for West Ham up until this season, but he's under a lot of pressure now. Do you think a bad result this weekend could finally see him gone? Because I'd assume a proportion, or certain portion rather, of West Ham fans would probably want him gone now.
Yeah, I mean, if you look online, that's the conversation, and they have done for a while. I think when we met earlier on in the season, however many months ago that was, there was a lot of pressure on him then, and since then it's only just gotten worse. I think realistically we're in a situation where how do I word this? He's never been a massive fan favourite because of the football he plays. He's not the most exciting manager in the world. He's not going to sit there and come up with this incredible free-flowing attacking football. And so there's always been a little bit of, when it goes wrong, it's really going wrong.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans are sort of done with him now at this point and don't understand. And the decisions he makes and lineups and everything else don't help him at all. So I think if we were to lose, I don't think it would affect fan sentiment, because fan sentiment is always just so negative as it is at the moment anyway.
Yeah.
But it would potentially push the board to the point where they're like, okay, maybe we need to get rid of him. They have been briefing. The dreaded, oh no, he has our full support has happened. That has come out now, which means he's on his last legs. And I feel like a loss to a relegation rival such as yourselves would be very bad news for him indeed.
Yeah, and there are 2 players that Wolves have been linked with this week, both West Ham players, both players that Wolves have had interest in before. Obviously, Craig Dawson, who's a defender, and Mikel Antonio, who's a forward. From the West Ham side of things, what's your thoughts on this? Would you be open to selling them to Wolves? And what do you think would happen with either of these players? Do you think any of the transfers will come to fruition?
Dawson feels likely. I don't know whether it happens or not is a different question, but from our side, the people who are talking about it are very trustworthy in terms of West Ham news. B, we've known since the summer that he's wanted to move back out of London, back up north, wherever that may be. His family still live north, so the fact he has to come to London every day is not it's not something he vibes that much. So he kind of wants to leave, and he's only got 6 months left on his contract. So it feels like something where if there is any money involved, it could potentially happen. We've obviously got other centre-backs in Zuma and Agerd, who should be our long-term first-choice partnership, but they've both had horrific injuries this year, and we've not been able to see them. It would be a case of we would need to get a replacement first. But if we were to do that, and we are always under David Moyes looking at centre-backs, we get linked with about 15 of them every single window. So the likelihood of us getting another centre-back is quite high. So I suspect that one. Antonio is a bit different. David Moyes loves him. Honestly, I think if you would go into David Moyes' kitchen, there's probably a big old picture of Mikel on his wall. He adores the guy. And we spent, about 18 months to 2 years with him as our only recognised striker because we couldn't find anyone who was like Mikel Antonio. That's how much David Moyes likes him. I think if you were to try and prize him away from him, it would take more money than it would be worth from a Wolves perspective to sign a 32-year-old, slightly injury-prone, broken striker. I think they'd both be good signings for you. Both really good, dependable players. Really good people in the dressing room as well. But from realism standpoints, that's probably where you're looking at.
Do you think then, if David Moyes lost his job this weekend, Wolves would have a better chance of getting Mikel Antonio before the end of the window?
Potentially, yeah. Because I think literally any other manager would look at Scamacca and go, "Oh my God, look at this! Look how good he is." Whereas David Moyes is like, "Hang on, but Antonio though." So I think if he was to go, you'd probably get a bit more chance. But again, it would leave us with only one striker, and that's the eternal problem. And how much money it would cost is a different thing. But probably, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. We've got just over 2 weeks left of the window. I think Wolves are still in the market for 3 or 4 other players, so it'll be very interesting to see if either of those 2 moves come to fruition. But in terms of West Ham, what's going wrong right now? What can Wolves try and take advantage of on Saturday? Where are the weak areas? Everywhere.
A little bit. It's difficult because obviously we're a David Moyes side, right? So defensively, we're relatively all right. The problem is sometimes we're just not at all. And it really is one day we're good defensively and the next we're not. Fullback wise, we've got a big problem right now. Big problem. Aaron Cresswell, who's been great for us last couple of seasons, last month, basically since the World Cup, has been awful. There was a goal Brentford scored against us where they basically walked past him. And it was one of the most embarrassing goals I've ever seen scored against West Ham from that kind of perspective. And then on the right, Soufal has been very bad. He was great for a while, but he's been awful for a while. We've tried playing Kera there, who is perhaps the worst defensive player I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
I think he's great with his on the ball. Amazing. You could see why he plays for Germany and PSG and people like that. But my God, the guy does not know. It's like I'm on the pitch. And I'm a prolific striker. And then you have Ben Johnson, who's fine. He's good. He's a nice young player from West Ham's academy, but isn't anything special. Those areas are weak. And we tend to sit very deep and compress ourselves, so they're basically centre-backs anyway, but it does mean that we are susceptible there. And when I look at Wolves specifically, and their plethora of attacking midfielders who are quick for a start, and also like nice interchanges. I'm thinking of I know it was a bit fortuitous, but was it Liverpool Hwang scored against recently? Nice little interchange in and around the box. Scary. Big scary vibes. But apart from that, I mean, like, we're trying different things, and I'm not even entirely certain which formation we're going to play. So it could be one of those games where we just pull out this defensive masterclass. And to be fair, against you, we have a pretty good record of doing that somehow. So maybe that won't come to fruition, but that's the big fear at the moment.
Yeah, it's really going to be an interesting game, and I'll be intrigued for people in the comments to see what they think, what the score and how the game's going to go as well. Before we move on, though, Charlie, obviously both Talking Wolves and the Hammers Chat are partnered with Betmate. Now, this is a really good chance. I know a lot of you, if you've watched the videos before, would be aware of Betmate, but this week, the Wolves West Ham game is free to join. So if you've toyed with joining Betmate, if you've not got involved before, this weekend is a good time to do so. You can find the details on the screen now. Me and Charlie are going to very quickly go through our teams to see who we've picked. Obviously, you can pick for both Wolves and West Ham United. And you use the code that's on the screen right now to join in. My team here, I have gone very heavily Wolves. Sorry, Charlie. I'm backing my own team this weekend, but I've gone with Jose Sarr in goal, Semedo and Aït-Nouri at the back, Podence and Neves in the middle with Mateus Cunha and Scamacca up front. Charlie, have you got your team to very quickly talk through?
I do. Slightly less Wolves heavy, although to be honest with you, I don't blame you, and I did consider it. I'm starting with Fabianski in goal, who's been really good the last couple of games. I've got Cresswell and Ait Nouri in defence. By the way, get Ait Nouri, run it on our players. Jesus Christ, it's going to be a bad time. I've gone midfield two of Paqueta and Neves. I feel like Paqueta is probably one of the people who could actually create something for us, and Neves is just very good. And then Said Benrahma and Adama up front. Adama is one of those players, again, who terrifies West Ham. And Said Benrahma is basically the only person capable of scoring at West Ham at the moment. So you've got to lob him in there somehow. But I don't blame you for that Wolves-heavy lineup. I can't lie.
The Ait Nouri one is interesting because Lopetegui's played him a lot further forward as well. So there's a big chance of assists or goals, even playing him as a defender. But yeah, guys, free to enter. Use the pot code TW-HC. A link is in the top of the description and get involved. And of course, you know, both Talking Wolves fans and Hammers Chat subscribers, we're all going to be in there, but let's hope a Wolves fan does win. But you've got to be 18 plus, UK residents only, and please do gamble aware. And Charlie, to finish off, can you give us a score prediction, maybe even a head and a heart prediction ahead of Saturday's game?
Okay. Right. Okie dokie. If you are somehow a West Ham fan, especially from Hammers Chat, maybe turn off now. I see 2-1 Wolves. Head, I think you're going to beat us. I don't think there's much to us right now. We're still the same West Ham side we were last time we faced you, and although that came up with a win, we've got no better outside of it. We've won. I mean, we won against Brentford, but domestically we haven't won since October. We are all over the shop. So I think head, I'm going to say 2-1. Heart, though, I'm going to go for a very exciting 2-2 draw. We just aren't quite there yet. We just aren't quite there. And when I've looked at the last couple of games for Wolves and the sort of interplays and the vibe that's going on there, it just scares me a bit. So I'll say 2-2, and I'll sit on this fence with my chest out. But my head is a little bit scared of this one. I can't lie.
Well, our fingers crossed for a Wolves win, but I think it's going to be a very close game either way. Charlie, before you go, do you want to let the viewers know where we can find you in the Hammers Chat, guys?
You can find us on YouTube at Hammers Chat. We have 2 channels, Hammers Chat and the Hammers Chat Forum channel. We are on Twitter, Hammers_chat. You can follow me specifically at atoplad, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's just stupidity. I won't lie about it. So Hammers_chat is the place you should find us. And thank you very much for having me on. I've really enjoyed it.
No, thank you for coming on. And yeah, until next time, we'll see you very, very soon. Charlie, thanks for jumping on.
Appreciate it.
So big thanks once again to Charlie. You can find the Hammers Chat YouTube channel link in the description down below. And let me know your thoughts, guys, on the game. Of course, the Betmate game, free to join as well. A link to that is in the top of the description. It'd be great to see you in there. And I'm really hoping for Wolves 3 points. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Wolves could edge it. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Wolves win. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and hopefully we are celebrating a win on Saturday evening. Until then, guys, I'll see you all very, very soon.